Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to wrap up this week's theme of deep cuts with a track from Marianas Trench. We're going to be looking at Masterpiece Theater 3. I guess there's two other ones, but as we've seen in the past, it's not always true. Some bands will just have a part 2 to a song where there was no part 1. This comes off of their Masterpiece Theater album. Now I'm kind of intrigued about that. Let's dive into this. See what Marianas Trench is bringing to the table today. Nice constant eighth note staccato-ish 4/4.
I got a new disease in me. I got a friend that's losing sleep. I take it hard, it's hard to take. I'm wide awake, I'm wide awake.
Take a moment to slow it down.
That's not what I need to sell. I never needed a reason for keeping secrets from myself. And now that's just how I tell. I'm wide
Additional bells here for accents.
I'll wreck this if I have to. Tell me what good would that do? I'll wreck this if I
Absolutely gorgeous start. Strings picking up where the bells left off. A less dynamic idea though, just 3 notes.
Somebody's gone, and I don't know how this is wrong, and I'm so frustrated, falling behind.
Oh, it shifted. Okay. Okay, you got me. Good fake out. Where are you taking this though?
So good to you, 'cause they don't know you like I do. They don't know you like I do. They don't know you like I do. They don't know you.
Very big, very theatric. This dude's falsettos, man, they're so good.
There's a difference from me to them.
Holding out that one tone there on the bass.
It's brave and stuff, fuckers requiem. I can never go back home again. Acadia is gone.
The harmonies, dude.
All my indecision, all of my incessant. Don't you ever tell
For
me
sure.
I'm not loving you best. And I just need a minute, I just need a breath. It's very hard to train to my continued success. And slow down, slow down. It's better in the worst way. It's getting better in the worst way.
Oh, that caught me off guard. Fun section though, and incredibly performed. That's a variation on the intro.
Look around, round, look around, round, look around, look around, round, look around, round, look around, look around, round, look around.
I knew the harmonies were coming, and it had to.
So here's another day I'll spend away from you.
Yeah.
How we used to ever go so long without it. All the work to impress charming girls that other dresses, smiling pretty, pretty. I am beside you.
Yeah. All right, guy. There's so many layers. I'm not a huge fan of the pitch correction going on those lower harmonies in the last section, but it must have been done for effect. What is this Black Parade finale? When did this come out?
I don't know how it got this way.
2009. There is no way that finale wasn't influenced by the Black Parade from My Chemical Romance. The general feeling of it, I even say that the chordal progression itself, regardless of what specific chords they're using, the flavors of the chords are incredibly similar to the finale of Black Parade. The brass coming in, the marching snare underneath everything, the belting vocals alongside quicker, more sing-songy, not spoken word, but not sung, harmonized vocals off to the side. The only thing it was missing was a really big guitar solo like Frankie Iero threw down at the end of the Black Parade. So it's like, you know, let me copy your homework, but I'll change a little bit of things so no one knows kind of idea. Like, it's obvious. You didn't change enough there. But I wonder if that's also, you know, not necessarily copying, but homage of sorts. This entire track is incredibly theatric already. It feels like it wants to be within that same sort of rock opera vibe that Black Parade sits within, and, you know, thousands, hundreds of thousands of songs before that even. It could just be a little tip of the hat. Yep, we're influenced by them. We enjoy their work. We're going to put a little bit of that into our music because honestly, it is just the ending. The rest of this track is certainly not anything like the Black Parade. But as soon as that kicked in, a bar, 2 bars into it, and that was the first thing that popped in my mind. The similarities are, I mean, the parallels are there, clear as day. Very interesting. I will add this, though. Aside from the fact that there's a general theatricality to everything, did the ending fit with the song? I don't think so. In fact, I'd say that most of this doesn't really fit together. We have pop rock segments, we have more theatric arrangements with strings and bells. All of this, of course, doused with the pop vocals, which I think is what tries to tie everything together. We have this big rock ending, the big, opera rock ending to this. There's a cappella sections in here. Nothing really clicks. It's more like a vignette of ideas than an overall cohesive concept. but there are similarities. The vibes are there. And I think that's what tries to make it more contained. But it does feel like a series of individual ideas that aren't really connected to one another. I'm curious what the larger story is here. It is called Masterpiece Theater 3. Do I need to listen to the other two to understand this one? Does it make more sense within the context of that? Maybe it's an album piece and it makes more sense within the context of the full work. I don't know, but it's very scattered here, despite having a focus on what it's trying to do generally. More specifically, it is a very scattered song. Instrumentally, there's not a lot to talk on here. The instruments are very functional. At the beginning, we have some arpeggiation. Well, I guess more movement of thirds on the bells at the beginning. We have a second set of bells that come in for accents every other beat, except for the third one, which is held out across 4 beats. So you get 3 over 8 beats. Pretty standard idea. You get the progression of home, tension, resolution. The resolution hangs on for twice as long as the other two. This eventually gives way to the strings, which play a similar idea, just constant eighth notes, but instead of arpeggiating or moving across thirds, instead of moving across thirds, we're just arpeggiating 3 notes up and then the mid back to the bottom. And that's it for the intro. Really, we have some very light drumming come in. We had this guitar sound that started off over here and it picked up where the 3-chord bell idea started. We have once again, bum, 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 this 3-chord idea. It has a lot of vibration to it and it eventually vibrates across the sound sphere as well. But again, it's a variation on something we had already heard. A lot of baton passing going on here in the opening sections. We have some light drum work come in. I said that. And I think at this point, we're coming up on the 2-minute mark. The song's almost a third over. We've kind of only heard one idea. Not too long after this, we get into heavy vocal use. Pure a cappella, almost aiming for something quasi doo-wop, but not really leaning into the tropes of that genre, sort of just evoking the feeling of it. We have a few vocals though, creating harmonized ideas underneath, focusing just purely on harmony and chords, not melody, not really rhythm either. They are there to lock in these quarter note hits, but other than that, it's not like they're doing anything rhythmically complex. They are creating the time pulse, but that's about it. This evolves into another theatric section with a lot of vocal layers and, again, minimal instrumentation. The instruments are there for 2 reasons generally: to keep the tempo, and it's usually something simple, quarter notes or every other beat, just something that locks down a tempo and a time signature and harmony. And we saw twice in this track that we remove instruments to bring in the vocals to handle those sometimes as well. We had the end, which is probably the most interesting, the most dynamic the instrumentation got, but it's still rather simple compared to the vocals. It was there mostly for flavor. It gave this big dramatic ending, but compositionally they were secondary, maybe I'd say even tertiary to what the vocals were doing. This is kind of the thing I think is going to turn away a lot of people from this track, particularly within this community. I mean, it's obviously also not metal. I know this community has a lot of interests, but I will say metal's kind of where the Venn diagrams for everyone typically overlaps. But if you enjoy poppier sounds, rock-oriented sounds, dare I even say pop rock sounds, If you don't enjoy that, I don't think you're going to find a lot here to enjoy. This is sort of the polar opposite of what we listen to often. But I do think that on the other side of that is the vocal focus, which isn't really a thing in metal. And I've kind of discovered that while there are certainly people who enjoy metal and good vocal delivery, I'm in that camp a little bit. I do find probably more amount of people who are like, I just enjoy the guitars. I enjoy what the drums are doing. The vocals, I don't know. I could have instrumental music that works for me. Like vocals are just not an important part, I think, of extreme metal as a whole. And this being heavily vocal oriented, I think is going to be the second aspect that just pushes people away from it. Even if even if you enjoy the sound, it might be too vocal oriented for you. But I suppose it's where we need to dive into next, since it is the rest of the song, and I would argue a vast majority of this track focuses on it. The vocalist is incredible. I listened to Marianas Trench way back in the day when they were a pop punk band, I think. They weren't this, that's for sure. And I was introduced to this era of Marianas Trench in a live stream a while ago. Editor Bryan can figure that one out. And I was kind of blown away at the general vocal work and theatricality of it all. They are higher up on my priority list of a band to check out their more recent output. And this is just a fantastic reminder of that. I love everything about this, dude. The vocals are incredibly strong, whether it is lighter and more delicate and finding a way to deliver that without including weakness in it. Just something that's a bit, it fits a lighter environment a little bit. Or whether it's full on belting, putting a bit of compression on these, full volume delivered lines in order to add a little bit of grit and extra energy to them. The falsetto. All of it. The harmonies are all on point. I really enjoyed the first set of harmonies and parts of the third set of harmonies when I felt that there was less production put on them. The second set of harmonies and the lower part of the third set of harmonies at the end of the track introduced formant shifting. And this is a way of decreasing perceived pitch somehow. I don't know the science behind it. It's a digital way of adjusting the pitch of a sound. And it's obviously not recorded a second time here. And through that lens, you're going to end up with a perfect recreation of that pitch at a lower interval. And it creates this perfect resonance that has a very digital pitch correction element to it. I get it. It works for effect. And given that it sounds like he does backing tracks for most of the harmonies, does them all himself, very minimal pitch correction. You basically can't make anything without any level of pitch correction these days. So I'm not saying that he can't sing. That's why he uses it. Just pretty much anything you listen to is going to have a trace amount. It's just part of the line of effects you're going to put on it. You got compression, you got EQ, you got pitch correction. It's just a normal thing these days. But there's too much here, and it adds an effect, but it stands out in contrast too. And I think it really shows at the end where those lower harmonies that sound like they've been pitched down so far, those are perfectly in pitch. It creates something almost robotic about them. Whereas the sung vocals on either side, alongside the center vocal, have a little bit more humanity to them, a little bit less perfection to them. And this is a very interesting moment. It allows the perfection to clash with the imperfection. And it creates an interesting sound overall. The contrast does stand out to me. I'm usually one who favors one or the other. I don't have a problem listening to pop music, which heavily favors pitch correction, even uses the classic auto-tune sound. I don't mind that. I know a lot of people hate it. I think it sounds great in the right context. This, though, given how natural everything sounds, given the acoustic instrumentation everywhere, given the use of manually recorded background tracks, backing tracks in order to create the harmony in most of these places. I'm not a big fan of the pitch corrected ones. I don't know. I wonder if anyone else is in that same boat. They're fine. They're fine. I don't hate them, but they do stand out like a sore thumb on this track, and it pulls me out of the experience. I think that's my main issue with them. But anyways, the dude's got chops for days. He's got such a wide variety of skills, of delivery styles. He really puts in a performance into this, not just a musical performance of I'm a singer, I'm singing, but an acting performance, an artistic performance that is using his voice to create storytelling. I really love the different ways that he goes about singing different lines, where he puts emphasis, how he allows some parts to dip just a little bit before he rises up and explodes into something larger. It's all about the phrasing of the lines. He's not just singing a song. He's telling a story. And I think it lines up really well with the theatrics of everything. If you had told me that this came from a stage play, a musical, I don't think I doubt that in the slightest. And just the confidence too, to say, you know what, we're going to throw in an entirely a cappella section in the middle of this track. So I'm sold on all of it. He has a lovely voice. I enjoy listening to it, incredibly skilled, and the composition that goes along with it is crazy. I mean, just looking there at the end of the track, I mentioned how simple a lot of the instrumentation is. Usually one or two instruments laying down some sort of harmonic information, an instrument with some rhythmic information, and that's usually about it. Not much else going on. I mean, we had a bass guitar come in, and what did they play? One note. I don't think they came back after that middle section either. They came in on one note, the rock section formed around it, and then when the rock section was gone, I don't remember hearing a bass again. They came in to play one note. You don't get more minimal than that. It's the vocals where all the layers are. And I really love this, particularly at the end. We had the harmonizing part at the bottom, the 4-inch shifted one, but then we also had something being sung on the left, slightly out of time with something else being sung on the right. They were kind of similar. I don't know if I'd call them a canon. I'd have to listen to it again and kind of see what the discrepancies are between the two lines. But there certainly is an element of like taking turns, of one starts an idea, the other one comes in a hair bit behind them, and then the playfulness is how these two lines interact as they're sort of out of time with each other. All of this, including the middle vocalist, which is just belting out these crazy notes and trying to find space between everything else. There are, after all, 3 other melodies at play alongside the marching snare and the brass, creating these cool textured ideas on the outskirts of the song. There's plenty of space in the middle, but as far as melody goes, you really got to find a place where you can do something against all the other melodies going on. And I mean, there are parts in here we have 4-way counterpoint happening. It's just crazy. And it's all done through vocals. So I enjoyed this. This was a treat. And I think that's about it. I'm curious if anyone else caught something I didn't. But I think at the end of the day, off of a first time listen, this is what I picked up. Incredible vocal work, layers, stacks, harmony, minimal instrumentation that creates this theatric presentation across a vignette of ideas that don't quite connect to each other. Let me hit some lyrics on this. We'll see what's going on there. This song appears to be written from 2 perspectives. One is some sort of toxic part of a person, and the other is that person. We start off with the stanza, I've got a new disease in me, a friend that's losing sleep. I take it hard, but I'm wide awake. One more confession, discretion's not what I need to sell. I never needed a reason for keeping secrets from myself, and now that's just how I tell that I'm wide awake. It says that there's something inside of him, a disease that he calls it, and it keeps them awake. This disease, though, whispers towards the beginning of the song, "I'd be so good to you." This perspective shift shows up quite frequently and more often towards the end of this track, constantly telling them how much better things are with them. It says, "All my indecision and all of my excess, don't you ever tell me I'm not loving you best." It says, "It's very hard to drink to my continued success, but I will slow down. It's better in the worst way." So here's another day I'll spend away from you. We've shifted perspective back to the person, I believe. It says, "Another night on a broken avenue. Trading in who I've been for shiny celebrity skin. Push it until my luck is over." Talks about just kind of going out and, I don't know, a life of debauchery here. Just living life as hard as he can, as loose and fast as he can, possibly to maybe drown out this disease within him, or maybe this is the disease acting out through him. The next stanza, though, states, "I'm right beside you. Just follow me. Look around, all around you. I thought you wanted me. I am what you need, and I'll always be right beside you, so please just follow me. I will make this perfect again." It's interesting, then, that a song filled with so many vocal parts is about battling a toxic part of yourself, having multiple voices within, one that wants you to do well and one that wants to abuse you. And sometimes who's saying what can get quite confusing. At the very end, it says, "I've been here so very long. I could slip into you. It's so easy to come back. I'll hide. Can I hide in you for a while? I'm not sick of you yet. This is as good as it gets." I think that's interesting. It talks about how this isn't something that's going to go away, at least not permanently. If you talk to anybody who has struggled with addiction, they'll tell you that they don't recover. They're constantly recovering addicts, but it's never behind them. It's something they can slip back into any time. And I think that's where this lines up really well. Our narrator can get away from this side of himself, can try to avoid the activities that enable this darkness, this disease to shine through and influence their actions, but it doesn't go away. It's always there, just waiting for another opportunity to seize. Now, I'll tell you, the music doesn't do a good job of expressing any of this. The fear, the staying awake so that this other side doesn't take over, a darkness within you, a parasite of sorts that can influence your actions and lead you into trouble. The music doesn't really lean into any of this danger, this animosity. But maybe that's where the scattered part of it comes in too, as our perspective is shifting between these two people, or this person and a version of themselves. Maybe the music is shifting in that direction as well. Maybe the stylistic jumps between all of them are supposed to indicate perspective shifts. I don't know. But maybe it doesn't have to. Maybe that's the point of it. Y'all let me know your thoughts though. These are mine. Marianas Trench's Masterpiece Theater 3. Do I need to know anything else about this album to understand this track? Do you have something you'd like to add to the conversation, your own perspective or opinion? Let me know. Put all of that, as well as anything else you'd like to add, into the comment section below. Above that, in the description box, is a link to Linktree. It takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.